Highland's 30-year anniversary.
Oh,
That's right.
that's sweet. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Are we all
Good to go.
okay? Perfect. We're all ready. Good evening, everyone. I'm calling this meeting of the Isla Vista Community Services District to order at 6:03 p.m. I'd like to announce that this meeting is being recorded, and if we can get a roll call for attendance.
Director Carmichael,
Here.
Topliff,
Here.
Brandt,
Here.
Cepos,
Here.
Plot.
Here.
Perfect. Right. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the Chumash people who are the traditional custodians of this land. We pay our respects to the Chumash elders, past, present, and future, who call this place Anastoyo, the land that Isla Vista sits upon, their home. We are proud to continue their tradition of coming together and growing as a community. We thank the Chumash community for their stewardship and support, and we look forward to strengthening our ties as we continue our relationship of mutual respect and understanding. Alrighty, now we're going to move on to the consent agenda. I would like to pull agenda item 2.3, approval of resolution 2617, district holiday policy. Otherwise, are there any items that anyone would like to pull?
Can I pull 2.2?
Yes. Yeah. Alrighty, so we have item 2.2 and 2.3 pulled.
Would you like a motion to approve 2.1?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make it.
Thank you. You got that? Give me a second. Awesome. Can we just get a voice vote on the polling of 2.1? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Alrighty. 2.1 has been moved, and keep me on track. We're gonna do the approval of 2.2, then we can ratify consent and move on. Awesome. Can I hear a motion for the polling of 2.2?
Didn't Spencer make it? I'll
Yes, we
second
did.
it.
You a second? Awesome. Can we get a?
I just have some questions.
Oh, yeah.
Can you, I just ask staff, can you give us a little overview of this grant application? Tell us where we are in the process and what our sort of role in the grant is.
Yeah, so we were approached by Bill's Bus to go in on this grant with them. And then also, in addition to Val Formel, they're the nonprofit piece of the puzzle. And so we've asked for the entirety of the maximum amount, which is 500,000. It's still in review. We haven't heard an update in regards to, I tried to look prior to this meeting when they would be giving that, but the award period would be July 1. So I'm assuming we'll hear prior to that. But yeah, essentially this grant would cover all of the rides for anyone living in IV to go on Bill's Bus. It's a lot of ticket prices or a lot of rides that it would cover for 500K. And a big chunk of it is also going towards education. So it would be things on Bill's Bus, a social media campaign, a lot of different things. And we kind of fall into the admin side because they needed a municipal agency as well. And we checked that box. So a kind of a unique grant in that they wanted a nonprofit, a transportation agency, and a municipal agency. So we checked all those. So hopefully we hear soon, but that's kind of what it is and where it's at.
Excellent. Well, I think this is certainly a worthy effort. Thanks for updating us on it. And yeah, we're working well.
I have a question. With the jump on the school bus, like how does that relate? Would they also be getting some of the money as the other one, or just Bill's Bus?
Just Bill's Bus,
Okay.
yeah.
And is that because just Bill's Bus was the applicant?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for it.
Any other questions?
I'll move approval of 2.2.
You have a second?
I'll second.
Yeah. Alrighty. Sure, yeah. We'll just take a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Righty, the ayes have it. Alrighty. Oh yeah, sorry. You can, now again, remind me where you're, with my on consent and chat about 2.3 or do 2.1 and then pull 2.3 after 2.1.
We've already approved 2.1 and 2.2, so we should
Perfect. All right.
go on to 2.3.
Thank you for guys. Thank you for keeping me on track with some
We're a team.
administrative things. I appreciate it. Alrighty. Yeah, we can, Jonathan, if you could speak to 2.3 just very briefly about what it's about.
Yeah, so the state of California legislature and governor last week approved a bill on Thursday to rename the March 31st holiday to Farm Workers Day. And so we're just updating our policies to be in line with theirs. And our staff took it off already. It's today, but our staff took it off on the weekend already.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Thank you for bringing this up. I wanted to pull just to speak about this a little bit more. I mean, as you said, well, the governor has already signed this into law, but I did want to highlight the importance of standing with and believing with survivors, even when and especially when they, point to powerful figures who previously had been, widely respected and beloved. And in hearing the comments from Dolores Huerta saying that she was, she didn't want what had happened to her to interfere with the movement space. And, unfortunately, we see this a lot where there is, a figure who's beloved and respected and, seen as doing important things to a movement space. And all too often, unfortunately, that can have quite a freezing effect on whether or not, survivors feel comfortable coming forward to speak their truth. So, again, I just wanted to reiterate how, I guess in seeing all of this unfold and seeing how, our previously beloved figures have, I guess, not their legacy, is becoming a little bit more honest, and our evaluation of them is becoming a little bit different. I'm grateful that we're having this swift push. We all together said, no, this kind of behavior is unacceptable. We won't have this even among our, good people in our activist spaces, that we're going to move to believe and support survivors, and also center that this was not just about one man, one person. This was a whole movement and continues to be a whole movement for farm workers, not just one singular leader.
I noticed in the policy that was attached under district holidays, it still does list Cesar Chavez Day.
It's supposed to be crossed out and say Farm
Yeah,
Workers
it
Day.
might just be from what the PDF was showing. I
Okay.
can triple check.
I see an edit on mine.
Mhm.
that,
Okay.
Yeah, it shows it as
Mhm.
switched.
Yeah, for some reason, I was just looking over Edward Shoulder because I don't see it on mine either, but I see it on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's because I'm on the edit mode, whereas I think you guys might be on the just the view mode.
Yeah,
Maybe.
the edits won't show up for people who are on video.
Okay.
If, sorry to interrupt, if for some reason there's no edit, you could also do a motion to approve it with that amendment.
Let's just do that for
Yeah.
crossing out Cesar Chavez Day, putting in Farm Workers Day.
Okay. Perfect. So I can make a motion to, on our resolution 2617, about district holidays, editing Cesar Chavez Day to replace that with Farm Workers Day.
I'll second that.
Yeah, you get a void. Any other district comments before we can move to vote on the edits and approval of these changes? All righty. We can get a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? All righty. Motion passes. All righty. Now it's time for public comment on matters that are not on tonight's agenda. If you have a comment on a later agenda item, we will take those comments later in the meeting. Do we have any public comments? Seeing none in person, do we have any on Zoom?
Nope.
Nope, nothing on Zoom. Alrighty, no. Now close down the public comment period, moving us to discussion and action items. We have item 4.1, revenue and bond options. We'll receive an update on revenue and bond options and give direction to staff and finance committee.
Okay, so yeah, this is, let me just fix the screen for a second. Okay, so this is a outcome from our finance committee discussion. So we had a discussion in finance committee and now bringing it to the board for more discussion, for having more research and discussion going forward. So why are we talking about this? So first of all, it is in our strategic plan to look at 5 different revenue and bond options to meet our needs. So we did think about this before. It is something that's been on our mind. Two, these are the same 2 points, the 2 above bullet points. We've pretty much fully spent our current revenue sources. Like the only way to do something new or different would be to cut something entirely and replace at the macro level. I mean, at small levels, we could, move around $10,000, right? But overall, we have maxed out our original plan. And it's not like we're spending our full UUT on the full original plan of what the UUT was supposed to be for. So, we've fulfilled the mandate. We've fulfilled the mandate from the original task, in our belief. So any new services or investments, they would require new funds. So we've worked on grants and we've done a lot of that. And so that's one area, but other funds like ongoing funds would need to come from tax revenue, and large amounts of funds would need to come from a bond. And grants, they're guaranteed. We do get them often, but they're not certain, and changes in the federal government makes that a little less certain. And so anything new would need new funds. And also this Bills Bus grant we approved today, hopefully we get that. That's like, $50,000 to $100,000 potentially. But anyways, that's not ongoing, so it's still one-time money. So that's why we would look at this. And so we have 5 options here. It's technically 4.5, but it's 5. One is a utility user tax. We have a utility user tax currently. We have 8%. We're the only community services district or any special district in California that can have a utility tax. Currently brings in about 1.5. Probably will go to 1.6 next year, but it's 1.5 right now. You could have any, potentially any amount. This is something we still have to research more. Like no city has more than 13% in California, but we think we can maybe, there's no law that says you can't do more, but that's just what's the max right now. And you can have it on all 5 utilities: gas, water, electric, trash, or sewage, or on a sub amount, or different amounts for different utilities. And then it's easy to calculate. We can do this. I can do this myself in like 5 minutes or less, because it's just math. Like it's 50%. That's all you have to calculate. Is if we do a 4% tax, it would raise 50% of what we currently get now. Done. That took 10 seconds to do. So it's an easy one to project. We didn't need any consultant help when we did the first utility tax, for example. I think Spencer emailed the utilities himself, got them the data, and that was it. It was easy. Next is parcel tax based on property values. Everybody has this one. Pretty much every special district has something like that. It'd be like $100 per $100,000 of assessed property values. I should edit that to say that. So in California we have Prop 13, so there's like that real value of the property versus the assessed value, which is what it was purchased at, plus 1%, 2% a year, every year. So you would say, let's say if a property is worth $500,000, they would pay $500 in tax. And then usually we would need a consultant to do the modeling for this, because there's 900 parcels. They all have their own assessed value. You have to do 900 calculations essentially. You can't just say their total value is this much. You got to kind of do it by parcel, figure it out. Next is the bedroom/door tax. So this is like the 2-in-1. IVRPD has both. So this is less common. It's like more of a flat tax kind of approach. So it's like X dollars per bedroom or X dollars per front door. I think it's by front door. I need to do a little more research, but IVRPD in 2017 did Measure O, which passed with 80%, 82%, I think. For $29 per bedroom, that was $750,000. So that the bed number of bedrooms hasn't materially changed since 2017. Like, has it gone up and down? Maybe a couple percent? Sure, but that gives you the idea of what we might get if we put a bedroom tax on the ballot for $30. It's about the same as the 4% tax, right? Same. But we would have like regular administration and audits. I've seen that on like IVRPD agendas in the past where they've had to bring in expertise to like and work with the planning department. And they have a rental inspection registry now, so maybe it's easier, but we don't know how many bedrooms there are necessarily. We'd have to figure that out and assess parcels based on that, because every July we'd have to go to the auditor and say, here's what each parcel owes. They can technically contest those, so we'd have to have good information to back this up, that we know your parcel has 10 bedrooms, so we're charging you $300. And then the fifth option is the one unlike the others. So the other ones were all ongoing revenue for the district. This one is one-time revenue, but one-time revenue that can last for a long time. So it's for infrastructure facilities. You can't use bonds to pay for like salaries or services or supplies or anything like that. It's also based on like the X per 100,000 assessed value. So that's how, that's whatever the bond amount you want. So let's say you want to take out 20 million in loans. Well, it's like that plus interest. So you probably end up paying like, let's say $30-40 million over 30 years. And so you will have to get a financier, fancy word like that, a special legal counsel for the bond, lots of specialized, it's a whole cottage industry, like lots of specialized bond people. And then we calculate out all the, futures of how the interest will go and how we'll be able to draw the debt over time. That's why it says once or in tranches, like tranches means pots, like, 3 pots of 20 million. But yeah, the taxpayers still paid on their tax bill. Well, the property owners who would get it, or the homeowners, it would still come up similar to a partial tax. It'll just say that this is for a bond and only will last for 30 years. Partial tax theoretically is permanent, but Measure O is not. It was a 7-year tax, and it's actually up for renewal this year. So IVRPD is talking about doing a tax this November. It's been on their board agendas. So those are the 5 types of options we have to explore. There's really nothing else besides this. And at this point, we're just putting out options. We haven't looked at like what the money would go towards, necessarily how much we want to raise. These are just like examples of how much you could raise. And so we just wanted to get board temperature on board questions, like, open questions, things we want to research more, ballpark areas we want to shoot for in tax revenue, or, amounts that voters will be, or taxpayers will be taxed. Like, do we want to not exceed 500 per parcel or something? Just so we can go do more research and come back in May, essentially, in May, with some real proposals, and go to the finance committee again to like hash some things out. So yeah, wanted to get an initial temperature of the board on this.
One thing I would say about the bond infrastructure tax, I think that since that one's like specifically for infrastructure, which is not something that we typically spend money on, I think that for me at least, it would be helpful to visualize that one better by like having that number that dollar amount be translated into something like tangible, like number of sidewalks built or something like that. Because I think that would help me better evaluate whether that is something I would want the residents of Ivy to pay for. Like, because I know that like obviously when building sidewalks, they're very expensive. You have to like buy the land from the landowners. So if like that 20 million could only like sidewalk one street, for example, I feel like that would maybe not be such a good thing to pass.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We'll definitely get a good number for you to visualize. The quick answer that I'll say is that it's not just the cost, it's like getting them done, because all the infrastructure projects would have to go through other agencies for approval. Like, we would be paying them to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So the county public works department to put in sidewalks, Edison to put in lighting, county general services to make any improvements to these buildings. Like, they need to consent to it, like, too. It's not just us saying, hey, we have $20 million, let's put this sidewalk in right here. It helps when you have the money, but
Yeah,
definitely it doesn't guarantee it happening. And then Measure A, we worked on a grant last year to get $550,000 for Measure A. That was able to do like 4 or 5 like small projects. So that's not even a full block face. That's like the corner of one kind of thing. So we'll use that as a basis for how much like miles of sidewalk you can do for 20 million, but you could essentially do 40 of those Measure A grants that we got. So yeah.
Yeah.
Can you go through each of those again and just give us a tag for the level of administrative difficulty to implement each one?
Excuse me. This would be beyond easy. I mean, we just have to call each utility and say, make it now 10%. So this was very easy. The parcel taxes, I mean, again, we would need to have somebody on hand who helps us calculate the amount we charge the private property owners. Because the way these work, the parcel taxes is every like July, August, we are at like they open the roll is the word that's used. And so they open the roll and first the assessor, so like the clerk, recorder, assessor person, that elected official, they have all their staff, they assess the value of all the properties in the county. So that's the first thing they do. Like they say what all the properties are worth. That's step one. Then the government agencies, they take that data, and that's where we might have to pay somebody to then use that data to figure out how much we need to charge each parcel. And then we submit that information to the auditor controller, who then lets those people know, or they collect it, and then the treasurer tax collector tells them how much they owe. And then so we get the money twice a year. So utility tax comes in once a month. This one comes in twice a year. So there's a bit of work to it, a little more. It's every year work, right? Like there's work every July that we have to get the parcel list, find out how much they're worth, pick a number they owe, submit that. It might get easier over years, and like, but I honestly, it's not something we've done before. I just know that I've seen it on the IVRFD agendas where they've had the engineering report that says, here's how many bedrooms you should be using for each parcel. The bond is like a lot of administrative work. Like we might even need to hire somebody. So one thing you can use bond money for is to hire somebody to manage your bond projects. So we might need that. Like we don't have, it depends on how we end up doing this. Like if we just tell the county we want to pay you to do things, but still someone in our staff would need to be overseeing which projects we spend the money on. We'd have to have some level of oversight. So this would be the most involved work, is the bond, because it's projects going on nonstop, and we need the financiers, and we need to get like our credit checked, essentially, like the bond rating for us. Like there would be a lot of different things that need to be done for a bond. It's very involved work. We're doing a bond at City College right now, and like it's just construction projects, and just extracting the money, like getting the money, managing the money, because it will just go into our bank account, but like says here, once the money's there, we get some interest off of it as well. So, but we'd have to just manage that pot way more closely and differently than we've had to do before. So yeah, it is from easiest to hardest. So this is the easiest one. Second easiest, because it's what everybody does. It's just common. A little more hard, this one, because it's now 900 parcels plus all of the bedrooms they have at them. We have to check each year. And then this one is just a lot of moving pieces, and professional experts are involved.
Got it. And the question that Edward had about the infrastructure aspect, the first two could still, or first three could still pay for infrastructure. There just wouldn't be as much total money in the pot available for it.
Yeah, I kind of talked about this at the finance committee. So you could, I don't know what the financial term is, but you could commit part of this money and take out a loan on it. it's called a certificate of participation is like the mechanism, but there's another financial term. It doesn't matter. So you could say, we're gonna take out a $10 million loan and we're gonna commit 100,000 a year out of our general fund to pay off the loan. So you could still get loans without a bond. It's just a bond is less risky to your general fund, because like, what if your salaries double because something happened? Not, they won't double, but there's a huge cost onto the general fund, then you have to pay your debts. So that's like a floor of money now, kind of taken off the table completely. And so you then will be forced to make choices in the future potentially, because you have to commit part of the general fund towards paying off the loan. But if you've already foreseen that and planned that out from the beginning of the tax passing, maybe it's never a problem. It's just one thing to consider is that a bond has guaranteed revenue. Like that money will always be taxed off the property tax bill to pay off the loans, versus this one, the cost of utilities could become free, right? Like energy could become free. Someone could invent something and we lose revenue and then we can't pay our loan. So it's just smaller. I mean, this is like an extreme example, but there are risks to the revenue and the general fund versus the bond.
Yeah, and that it's also true, right, that the bond is much more restrictive for if we wanted to like increase services that were ongoing.
Yeah, no services with the bond. It's, I mean, if you consider lighting a service, but someone will still need to pay the lighting bill, like the electricity bill for the light to be on. That couldn't come from the bond. That would have to come from another pot.
We couldn't grow our capacity staff-wise.
Yeah, and actually that's a good point. It would actually restrict our capacity to pass bond, because we only have what we have now. And yes, you could hire somebody to administer your bond projects, so that does help in some way, but it's still a lot of extra work now on other parts of the organization anyways. So you have to subtract work from something else to be able to make the bond projects happen. Because it would be exciting, like, oh, we're gonna spend 20 million. A lot of work would be involved in that. Community outreach, different surveys. We already have a lot of these planned, but still, like, once you're not spending money, you'd want to make sure it's all being spent correctly. So yeah, it would take away some of our current time that we have.
Yeah, that's helpful to know, because I mean, I've just wrote down a short list of some of the potential projects that we've talked about before, whether it's implementing everything envisioned in the parking action plan or the community mobility plan, or facilities things relating to the community center, Soultopia, or now I think heard today that the wave is going to be moving on and no longer be serving Isla Vista and going to Carpinteria. So there's some things in there that are capital and facilities, and then there's some things that are services. So I think it's helpful to understand which options are more flexible and which ones are less.
Yeah, I think in trying to make a decision for all of this, it might be helpful. I mean, everything that Edward and Spencer, you brought up were fantastic points, but I think kind of getting a breakdown of each option for like how much staff cost, either, time or monetary cost, what kind of services, might it bring in terms of like X many sidewalks or like this amount of service, and then also like what certain things can or cannot do. Just might be more helpful to get like a side-by-side comparison of like, all right, if I pick this, it's more freedom for staff, less administrative work, but I can pull less money, or it has more risk to the general fund, but it has this other thing.
Yeah. And one thing to know is like the part, I didn't mention this, these are more stable taxes. There will always be the number of bedrooms there are in IV, but utility prices, they can go up, they can go down. But the number of bedrooms is a static number, unless an earthquake happens. But this is more stable. So if we were like going on stability, most stable one are these two.
And if we were going to propose a new tax, what would it look like if IVRPD is taking their tax proposal to the community at the same time?
Well, that's a political question for the most part, but the technical question will be cheaper for us to do it because there'll be one more thing on the ballot, which means it dilutes the cost of the election just by like another hair. So Measure R cost is $13,000 to do, for example. So this one might cost a little less. It's a general election too instead of a primary, so even cheaper potentially.
And I would just add that the last time that Ivy Rec and Park did Measure O, our board endorsed Measure O, which is, you know, sort of a show of solidarity and support.
Mhm.
Can you do a parcel tax and a user utility tax?
You can have two on the ballot. It'll
Has
be
it been-
separate questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has it been done before?
I mean, we're the only ones who have a utility tax.
Yeah.
So maybe another city has done it. Cities don't usually use partial taxes. Mostly school districts use them or special districts, but that's who we are. So that's all we're focusing on. But I'm sure it's happened in the past. Like Culver City has the highest utility tax of 13%, but I'm sure they've had maybe school district partial tax and utility tax at the same time. It's definitely possible, but it becomes, you know, I don't know if voters would vote for both.
I know.
Yeah.
So when I think about the different proposals, I see pros and cons to all of them,
Yeah.
which is I think what makes it difficult somewhat for us to work things through. But when I think about the taxes, taxes aren't just to raise revenue for us. They're also, it's we as the leaders of the public are trying to incentivize certain behavior and disincentivize certain behavior. And so the way that I've thought about these is in terms of who pays and what people are paying based off of. I see the benefit of the utility tax and our current structure in terms of it's transparent. People can see the charges on their bills if they are the bill holders. Most Isla Vista residents hold at least one of their utility bills in one of their housemates' names, and so they can see it there. Whereas, you know, the other taxes kind of just go into the black hole, and you know, rent has been going up, even though taxes haven't been going up. Rent's gone up each year, right? And so the other thing that I think about with the utility tax is something that Jonathan mentioned about how it doesn't have to be the same on each utility. I think that there's a lot bigger of a difference between, say, the methane natural gas usage that happens in the residential area and the impact that that has on our emissions as a community, on our safety as a community. I'm going to be the old head on the board that remembers when we honored two residents that had done the emergency gas shutoff after there was an accident a number of years ago. So this is, you know, a different level of risk in the community versus, you know, say the garbage trucks that come around and collect our trash. And so I wonder if we were going to consider the utility tax, if we could do sort of a structure that reflected that and reflected the behavior that, you know, we want to incentivize versus disincentivize. And I will give credit where it's due that some of these ideas have been floating around in other California cities that I think we could take some inspiration from up in the Bay Area.
Oh yeah, this is kind of like definitely related to what Spencer just said. It's not sure if there is much of a tangible difference in terms of which tax is most likely to be passed, but like at the end of the day, it doesn't happen unless the voters approve it. And so I think that, like, I'm not sure if there is really a difference between what we consider like versus like a higher utility tax versus higher new property tax, but maybe that's something that could be looked at, like passage rates on utilities.
Yeah,
or
we
on
can look
taxes.
at that. We can also ask about things in our budget survey. So
That's true,
that's,
yeah.
we can make questions to people about new services they'd want. And so we can do polling essentially. Like we could pay for a poll. I don't think that's something we can do here in IV. If we have a budget survey, it's enough. But we can ask the public about this, like even how much they'd be willing to pay as part of our exploring.
Yeah, I definitely think that using what is our budget stuff for the community kind of comes out more April, May. Remind me the timeline for when the budget survey goes out.
April, May,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, it's right around, right around now. But yeah, I think kind of, polling, not that we can pay for polling, but polling, in our budget survey would be a fantastic use of that to see what kind of services people want more of, they feel are lacking, to prioritize, and also kind of their tolerance on paying taxes for certain things.
Yeah.
So, I have another, it's kind of a question, but for the rent increases, those are capped, right? Or like
10%.
10%.
That's on existing tenants staying year to year. That's the state law.
Yeah, so but does adding a tax change that?
Yeah.
So that means like, and considering they do increase like year over year, pretty much all guaranteed, like a property tax would then just like, it might not actually add anything to the bills of residents. Because they would already be paying more.
Not directly. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it depends on if the property owner is gonna raise it 10%, they're already getting the maximum raise out of it.
Yeah, and so then a utility tax or a property tax would only be taken from the owner, not the tenant.
It's hard to say how it all flushes out, but yes, if it could go up 10%, that might be more than what the tax is, and other taxes aren't going up either, so.
But I guess your question is that increase of 10%, is that, can the landlord say, oh, I'm actually gonna raise 11%
No.
because it's
No,
10 and then tax?
No, they'll, yeah, 10%.
Good.
Yeah, but they could put something in the lease saying, there's certain things that you're responsible for.
So they could say, haha, now you pay utilities.
That's what they threatened to do, when Measure R passed last time.
Mhm.
Is a bunch of management companies sent out lease amendments about it. Now,
Wait, what was the measure?
that's our utility tax.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, and then whether or not those costs were actually offset, just depended landlord by landlord.
If you think.
That's the thing, and that's almost why I argue in favor of the utility tax, because it's
Mhm.
actually transparent. You
Yeah.
can see it on the bill, whereas it's just a total black box when it comes to whether a property owner decides or not, to pass on the increase, how much they're passing on the increase, what is the increase gonna be? I'm also cognizant that like everyone is feeling the increase, right?
It seems like the majority of Isla Vista property owners set rates at the maximum the market will bear. So if their prices change a little bit, they already are getting everything they can out of the property.
Yeah. For the, for a little bit separate, a bedroom or door tax would also be levied technically on the property owner.
Yeah.
So then, okay.
It's
Yeah.
just when the voter goes to vote,
Mhm.
they will see either 4% utility tax,
Yeah.
which is what we've put before,
Mhm.
or they will see, $100 per 100,000 assessed value, which will
Weird.
not calculate for anybody who doesn't own the property.
Yeah.
Or they will see $29 per bedroom.
Okay.
So that's also part of it, I guess, like how direct does the voter know what the tax is gonna be?
And the bedroom tax that IVRPD charges, that needs to renew as well?
That's the Measure O, yeah, it was a temporary tax.
So
Yeah.
do we want to keep?
That's
Seems
the
like that
choice.
might be a problem,
Yeah.
That's the choice.
yeah. That doesn't feel good.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
'cause
if I saw that. on the
If
ballot,
ours passed and theirs didn't,
But that wouldn't happen. I feel like
I
they
feel like
might
they go
both
together.
Not.
it would go
I think,
less.
Measure R and Measure O both got 80-something%.
Together?
That's like so.
Each of them were very
Yeah.
popular with the voters. I think that's the point, Jonathan.
Yeah,
I think.
I think, I think it's good that we're continuing to track what they're working on, because I'm certainly interested in it, and I think that, the way that LACO and the state have set us up where we're separate, sometimes feels silly because we're working on, we all have the same mission at the end of the day, right? And so I think if they're gonna move something forward, that's definitely something that we should consider supporting, just like we did in 2017.
Yeah, but I feel like that goes in hand in hand. We shouldn't put door-to-door tax. Cause that, they might feel like we're competing with them and they see it very differently.
Yeah, I could see the argument. Have we had any conversations with them about that element in specific, about if they prefer?
No, I haven't asked
To
them.
decline.
Yeah, I haven't asked them. But you're saying if we both had the same kind of tax on the ballot versus a utility plus a parcel versus two parcels? Is that what you
Or
were saying?
like, if we had any sort of like the bedroom tax.
Okay, yeah, the
specifically,
similar
I feel like
kind.
they might be like, wait, you're trying to screw us,
Okay.
which in some ways is kind of true. Or like
Well,
not true, but.
It might
Well, it's,
happen,
I-
yeah.
it definitely wouldn't be the intention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
No,
that
and it might create some voter confusion.
yeah,
Yeah.
I could see voter confusion. Yeah, it's a good point. This is a side question, but when we bring this back, can we also bring a list of potential projects? I think that helps make it like
Yeah,
lot more.
we'll do that at the finance committee, start looking at like what this could be used for.
I think that's
Yeah.
good. I think, my feedback to the finance committee is like the more detailed, the better. I think that would be really helpful, when.
And then I think it would help to also have a sense of the county's capacity.
Yeah.
So if we had some ideas about projects we wanted to do, what would their ideas be about when they would be able to do it?
Yeah, that's a great point.
That's a good point because they're doing the ATP project, which is $10 million of spending. And that's gonna take 6 or 7 or 8 years,
Yeah,
many years.
yeah.
So
So they just might not have any capacity for quite
that's a
some
good
time.
point.
Yeah, and
Grace the ball.
but I think that the flip side of that is like, hey, would you have more capacity if we had money,
Yeah.
right? Because
That always makes a difference.
Yeah.
I think it makes a huge difference. I mean, the reality is that because we are so weirdly structured and impoverished as a community, we don't have a lot of money to bring to the table.
Yeah.
And so this, I see this as helping.
Yeah, the price tag is.
And I think that, being able to contribute something, I think maybe will help some of our problems from having gotten left out of some of the conversations like we did during some of the ATP conversations that we went through last year.
It's just like moving, like it's so interesting, but it's so scary.
A bond.
A bond.
Yeah, it's very different. It would be a very new thing to do.
Because a bond would be like entirely new for us, right?
Yeah, we've never done anything like it. I don't think IVRPD's done a bond in a long time either. So it would be a new thing for IP.
Okay.
So what direction are you looking for us from?
This is good, like the things you want to know more about and yeah, what you're wondering.
Is this gonna be brought to the finance committee? Or?
Yeah, I'll come back. Yeah, it's all a board decision for sure. So you need to make a decision by the second June meeting on putting something on the ballot.
Okay.
So we have what, like 6 meetings to do that, so.
Yeah, well, I definitely like to see a project list come back, and then definitely interested in the utility tax and the parcel tax, so long as it wouldn't be identical to what IVRPD is considering.
Kind of makes the property value. Because I feel like as a voter, you see it and you see a property value and a bedroom tax, and like you're like, okay, they're separate things. And I feel like the bedroom one feels more levied on the renter, and the property one feels more levied on the owner.
Yeah, even just an optic.
Yeah.
And then I just have a clarifying question for council too. So for parcel tax, are we allowed to base it on the assessed value of the property, or does it have to be a flat fee?
That's something I'm not sure of. I'm actually discussing with one of the attorneys, Anita Luck. She's in our public finance group. So I'll go ahead and ask her that and then I can provide clarification.
Okay, that's helpful, because I think, there is a huge difference for me in terms of like whether it is, based on the assessed value, meaning that it's a little bit more of a progressive tax or just a flat tax. Because if it's a flat tax, then it's really not that much different than bedroom tax or the door tax.
Yeah, I'll definitely find that out for you and then I can go ahead and let you guys know as soon as I ask.
How does like, this is just like more of a technical thing, but like with the bedroom tax, like if there's a bedroom that's unused and's been like turned into an office, is that still included as a bedroom, or like how
I
does that
think that's
work?
part of the whole debate
Yeah.
sometimes. Like
Okay.
if you assess somebody for and they're like, no, it's not a bedroom anymore, people can challenge what's assessed as their property tax.
And like the like garages that are used as bedrooms, would that count as a room?
We would want to assert that probably, but no, like, and are they legal or illegal?
So it's probably more a door tax that we're looking at, just for clarification.
Well, door tax is not that much, it's probably
Yeah.
like the flat tax you were talking about, like what Spencer was just saying, like, because there's one door per property essentially, so you can just say $100 per door. So door tax is maybe how you do the flat tax. But IVRPD's done that before.
What about like a tax on the number of people on the lease?
I don't think we can do that.
I'd get confused.
That's not a parcel tax at that point.
What did you say?
That's not a parcel tax.
Okay.
Can we do parcel tax by like zoning designation or like land use designation?
I don't know, I don't think so, we can check.
I mean, it sounds like it would be extremely complicated, but I could see, the argument for if you are gonna do a parcel tax, it should be a different factor for, a mixed use multifamily property with 30 units than it should be for a single.
I think you maybe can do something like that, but I'd have to check. I think I heard that before.
Yeah, and then I'll just mention again my feedback for the utility tax portion. If we are gonna do it, I'd like to see a substantially higher rate for natural gas than for the other utilities. And I think that, potentially there's a way to do this with equity in mind so that it's really focused on encouraging residential property owners to convert this more dangerous infrastructure to safer infrastructure, while also recognizing that many restaurants have no alternative to natural gas, and so we don't want to mess with their bottom line. They're also not where I see gas leaks when I get an emergency notification from Pulse Point. I usually see those in the residential areas on Sabado, on DP. And so, it's just to say it. I think that if I was going to end up supporting that, I think I would need to see a difference there.
Do any fellow finance committee members, any questions on more direction that we're looking for?
I think that's good.
I mean, all of my questions were answered. Okay. All righty. I don't believe a vote needs to be taken because we have given direction to staff.
Correct. Just make sure you open up for public comment.
Sounds good. All righty. Do we have any public comment on item 4.1, either in the room or on Zoom?
No.
None on Zoom, none in the room. All righty, can close out public comment for item 4.1. Moving us to reports. Do you have any reports from members of the board? Yes.
I got to have my orientation with the Goleta Valley Library Commission.
Nice.
Got to meet with the librarian and talk to her a lot about ideas for Isla Vista and just how things are going. They're currently in a temporary facility while they're doing 2 separate renovation projects at their main facility. And so it sounds like they are interested in doing some site visits with us to go look at some of the smaller libraries in their service area. So like Solvang and Bealton, out of the hope that maybe we could realize the dream that a lot of people have had for sort of a small satellite location to open in Isla Vista. And our first advisory committee meeting is going to take place next Monday, April 6th at 6 p.m.
Fantastic.
Other than that, for folks interested in helping out this weekend, STESA is looking for volunteers to help staff the beer garden that they are operating as part of Soultopia. So I will be there. And if you're interested, let me know and I'll send you the details.
Registering my interest.
Okay. before we move into that.
Thank you. Any other reports from members of the board?
Well, we did have a finance
Yes.
committee meeting, and Jonathan, as usual, has done a lot of work to lay out all of the things we need to look at financially before our new year budget begins. And so we're going to be having reports here at the board meetings about individual programs and what their budgets have been like this year, and what their accomplishments have been. And then we're pretty much on track to do the work that we need to do to pass the budget timely.
We're early this year.
We are, all led by our very organized Jonathan and our fearless committee president. That also includes my report on finance committee. Final call before we move to district
I
council.
think we gave the committee on IVCN at the last meeting, but I'm looking at others to confirm if we,
Give an update.
I don't have any new updates since we met.
Yeah, we don't,
Okay, but I just wasn't sure if I gave it at the last meeting.
I don't know if you did. I can't remember.
For the interest of the time, so the Isla Vista Community Network Ad Hoc Committee met to talk about what we might do to help evolve that structure. So the Isla Vista Community Network used to be a group that met in this room that was largely nonprofit service provider reps that served Isla Vista university officials and county officials. And then there were some Isla Vista residents that attended. And at its best, it was a way to get information from county agencies, the university, and to learn what different service providers were doing. It's kind of transitioned to be more the town hall style series that we've done from last year. We discussed the idea of wanting to not do as many town halls, going for quality over quantity. So really just doing kind of one big state of Isla Vista per year, since they are very staff intensive to organize. And then we also discussed sort of adjusting our agenda practices to try to replicate the updates that the county and universities give at IVCN, but have them be at these board meetings so that it's all just consolidated in one place. And so having a standing item where we invite the county supervisor and their representatives and agency representatives, and then the university as well, was kind of our big recommendations that came out of that.
Fantastic.
So we're working on the back end.
Ready for report from district council.
Hi, everyone. I don't have a report, just a quick comment that Jamie will be coming back from her maternity leave in April, so I will keep you all updated on that.
Sounds good. Yeah. Ready. Report from general manager.
Okay, Soultopia is coming
Yes.
this Saturday. Sold out of wristbands this morning at 8:30, just
Wow.
about 8,000. People can still pick them up, but everyone who got in the system, either the student clubs or the individuals, they can still get them, but we're booked. Everything's looking good. Everything's going smooth. I can't say anything besides just come and show up and have fun. And yeah, it's going well. Next is parking. We're not gonna launch tomorrow, April 1st. It's not gonna happen. We're waiting on the equipment. So that is the last holdup on parking, is getting the iPhones and the printers, and they've been ordered. We're just waiting on them to arrive. So once they do, we'll be ready to write our first ticket, maybe midweek next week, but we're not sure yet. But everything's going good there. And I had mentioned at the last meeting when we approved the bill schedule that, we're working with the county to get that updated. That's moving forward in some way. Like, the discussions are moving forward. There's no exact plan yet, or what exactly is going to happen, but the discussions have been positive. On cityhood, we had our kickoff for the cityhood study 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. We have our first step was to put together a data request from the county. So that's being finished this week, and then we'll submit that to the county. There's a lot of data to request. And so that project's going well, but it's just starting, but it's, we had a good kickoff meeting, at least I could say. I'll mention that I attended the, sorry, I get like allergies in April every year in IB. I attended the Goleta West Sanitary District meeting a couple weeks ago as well. It's very hard to get there with dorm construction. But I went to apologize for some comments that they found, like I had said at a public meeting, there's no street sweeping in Isla Vista, but there is, it just doesn't get into the curb. I don't know what's going on with my voice. And then we also had a lot of our staff and our board attend the REACH Summit at UCSB, which is like a regional economic planning summit. And so we went to that, and that was a good time. Besides that, as you can imagine, the last 3 weeks, it's all been Soltopia parking, cityhood. That's been the focus to get those done. So.
All righty. So we have,
Question.
Just a comment, always magnanimous and appreciate that you're trying to keep up good relations with our partners at Goleta West Sanitary District. But those street sweepers do not get into the curb, and they do not even get into the curb during spring break when there's no cars parked on the street. So just registering my discontent with their operations.
all right. Looks like we have no closed session today. All right. Well, the next regular meeting of the Board of Directors will take place on April 14th, 2026 at 6 p.m. on Zoom and here in the community room at 970 Embarcadero Del Mar. With that, we move to adjourn our meeting at 6:59.
Imagine that.
Look at that.
Yeah,
60s.
I'm 60, guys.